What evil prank have you pulled off? One summer in college, I worked in the registrar's office, registering all the incoming freshmen. A professor who was a mentor to me was teaching freshman seminar and asked me to hand-pick a class for her. Straight A students, high SATs, whatever. So I did. 15 students, all named Sarah. 2 of my friends have never met each other. Before they spoke, I told both of them that the other is a bit deaf. They shouted at each other for a few minutes before they realized that I'm in a hole. When my brother and I were in middle school, my brother liked to skateboard with our next-door neighbor. One day, my brother and the neighbor took the sheet of plywood from under my brother's upper bunk bed. No one slept in the upper bunk, out of the house, and started making a skateboard ramp out of it in the neighbor's adjacent yard. My parents had explicitly told him that he wasn't allowed to do that. Now, in my defense, my brother teased me unmercifully, to the point of tears, on multiple occasions, so keep in mind that he had had it coming for a long time. Anyway, an evil little plan hatched in my brain. I ran to the upstairs window and yelled down at them, "Brother's name, guess what? Mom knows everything and she is so mad." Then I slammed the window shut and ran to the stairs and waited, while watching my mom read the newspaper. A few moments later, my brother walks in the front door looking worried and says, "Mom, I'm so sorry." My mom, who had no idea what was going on, said, "About what?" while slowly putting the newspaper down. "For making a skateboard ramp out of the wood from the bunk bed." "You did what?" At that moment, a wave of shock and realization swept across my brother's face and our eyes met. I let out the biggest evilest little sister cackle and ran into my room. We are adults now and still laugh about it from time to time. I made fake versions of Internet Explorer, that turn your PC off when started in the ICT class at school. A friend kept trying to steal my sushi off my plate at a sushi restaurant. So while she wasn't looking, I stuffed it full of wasabi, put a bit of fish back on top to cover my tracks, and pretended to not be looking when she started reaching towards it. She tossed it into her mouth, started chewing down, and I just swung my head towards her to say, "You FD up." 5 minutes of coughing, muffled screaming, and copious amounts of water later, she had learnt her lesson. I evil pranked myself back in high school by not studying or preparing for the future. Once I asked a friend for another friend's phone number. He gave me a teacher's number. I then went on to send multiple messages in a fake angry tone to my unsuspecting teacher. F that diabolical genius of a friend. The AM supervisor at my office is a short little man who likes to work from a laptop on a rolling adjustable desk. For over a year I gradually raised the height of this desk and watched as he went from sitting on a stool, to an adjustable tall task chair, to standing. Last week he removed the wheels from the desk to lower the height. He doesn't realize it's adjustable. I saw a post about switching around mayo and vanilla pudding, emptied out a mayo jar and cleaned it well, filled it with a few pots worth of vanilla pudding and took it to uni. Our uni is very lax about eating during the lectures, so I waited until midday when I was sitting in the middle of all my friends and they were all eating their lunch. Cue me taking out the jar of mayo and a spoon, popping the lid and taking a big old spoonful with a grin. At first only the closest ones noticed, but after the third spoon it was like everyone was frozen around me. Pin drop silence. After the fifth spoon someone faux retched and the spell was broken. The looks of sheer terror and disgust was well worth the pain of eating vanilla pudding. I'm a chocolate kinda gal. At my sister's swim meet, I found an ice machine tucked away in a garage-looking thing. So I started collecting the ice and somehow managed to put ice in nearly everyone's shoe at the meet. It was a wild, beautiful moment of pure confusion and chaos. Everyone started freaking out and no one knew it was the little shy girl who secretly enjoyed turmoil. In the break room, called my co-worker in. I had a chair, plastic cup with an inch of water in it, and a broom in the corner. I asked him to help me stick the cup on the ceiling, climbed on the chair, and he held the cup up with the broom. Then I said, "Wanna see a cool trick?" Climbed off the chair and walked away with it. You could hear him cussing and yelling out in the parking lot. I can meow just like a cat. In fact, I can do it so well that people will often look around for the cat that is not there. This has resulted in several hilarious instances of strangers running around frantically looking for the cat and me sitting off to the side watching. Stray cats will usually stare at me for a couple seconds before continuing doing whatever. Pet cats will usually hold a conversation with me, particularly if they're chatty. Edit, the confusion of everyone's pets fuels the Lady of Cats and she is pleased by your offerings of Reddit awards. In high school I went into the boys' bathroom and replaced all the soap in the dispensers with pancake syrup. I convinced a co-worker for 2 months that the guy she had sat next to for 3 years was named Jay, not Dave. They worked in different departments but sat 3 feet away from each other for years. I got the guy in on it. And his manager. Then later his supervisor, group manager, division manager, and entire department. They bought him new nameplates for his desk, changed stuff in the system, so his name would print as J, etc. The only thing they didn't change was his phone number and email. She thought she was going crazy, and when I finally told her, she sucker punched me in the stomach and dropped me to my knees. She was a personal trainer in her off hours, so she got me good. Totally worth it, and I laugh about it to this day over a decade later. I went to a party at someone's house whom I didn't like. First thing I did was go into the bathroom and turn their toilet paper around so the roll was on backwards. Everyone who went to the bathroom there saw what kind of Neanderthals the homeowners were. My freshman year of high school, the big craze at my school was this 50-pack of Crayola markers. I'd quite exactly, but fads are fads. A friend of mine had a pack that she was obsessed with. She had them organized in the pack in like a perfect color gradient order. So of course anytime she left the room I'd mix her markers up, so she had to fix them when she came back. This went on for a month maybe. And one day in study hall she leaves, and before she leaves turns to me and she says, "Don't rearrange my f-king markers." So I didn't. I rearranged the caps. You see, these markers were solid white apart from the caps and a little tiny nib at the other end. She got about halfway through fixing them when she noticed she was holding a marker with an orange cap and a turquoise nib. I can't tell you the joy I experienced when she looked at me and said, "You didn't even move the markers, did you?" I laughed so hard I was asked to leave the study hall. She didn't talk to me for 2 weeks. 100% worth it. My mum's laptop wallpaper was a picture of her granddaughter. I copied the picture 100 times and made her wallpaper a slideshow of the same picture over and over again, so the file would change but nothing would change visibly on the monitor. The pictures would change every 10 seconds. On one of the images I painted a tiny little curly mustache on her. So randomly for 10 seconds my niece would have a mustache. My mum thought she was either losing her mind or had a computer virus, and every time the mustache popped up, it was gone by the time she tried to show anyone. Welded a co-worker's boot to the floor. He had worn out the toe caps on his steel-toed boots. While he was making a weld kneeling inside a large piece of equipment, on steel, I put a small tack weld on his boot so he had trouble breaking it loose and getting up.